Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. Would you cut it with a t-shirt? I'm in the middle of an introduction here.
I'm showing the t-shirt. It's video.
It's about that time of year again when wins count a little bit more. I'm just going to completely ignore you. Folks, check to see if they've got a big enough TV. Money begins to move, and everyone in your office suddenly has an opinion on basketball. It's time for some March Madness. That being said, your idiotic hosts don't pretend to know squat about college basketball and won't be wasting your time with our delusional picks on who's going to win it all. We're doing something far more important and impactful, setting up a bracket with all our favorite Star Wars characters. And yes, unbelievably, we are both married with real jobs. And we'll be working through them region by region, so sit back and get ready to jump into hyperspace because it's time for Region 1 of our Star Wars bracketology. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, well, kind of, because he decided to get up and roam around his palatial office. And with me, as always, is the man who once dressed as C-3PO for Halloween and damn near got hypothermia for his troubles. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades and has never used body paint since that almost tragic day. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you?
Well, aside from almost forking up a tonsil on that introduction, doing pretty well. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing well. I have my Star Wars miniatures here to
showing
accompany
off
me.
his toys. This is
well. You, sir, have something to share because I believe you flew this bad boy down in Florida.
Well, so the funny thing is, I didn't actually do the flying, but we'll get to that in a little bit here.
But I'm doing well. How are you? How are you feeling after a week away and a respite from the range, from the show, from life in general?
Man, I'll tell you one thing. A vacation is a good thing. Travel is a good thing. I enjoy both of those. A vacation and traveling to Disney is not necessarily as relaxing as one would think. It turns into a bit of a part-time job. It really does. But I felt really good up until like the last day I was there, and all of a sudden started to get this head cold thing.
You didn't get the measles, did you? That's pretty rampant right now in Florida.
Believe me, I got my fingers crossed. And then had to travel with said head cold, which, let me tell you, nothing is better than changes in altitude when your head is already filled with snot. It's just a constant popping of the eardrums. So that was a hoot. But otherwise, I'm doing pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Good. That's good.
Well, we're also on a tight time schedule for...
Uncle Todd either passing out or sound having to be reduced in the homestead. So
I'll have to finish this show whispering, which is really friggin' creepy. So let's get on into the week in Geek.
The week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
Indeed.
And at this point, I am now going to be popping a Ricola in celebration.
I just want to again show off my Getty Lee shirt.
Yes, we get it. Yep.
Saw him in December.
As if our door, you have a Getty Lee shirt on, you have your Star Wars miniatures out. We're already talking about Star Wars. Like, could we get any more sad at this point?
Come on, man.
Like, we already have very much of a this is like we're recording this in our mother's basement vibe. You know?
Well, I mean, come on now. Like that's been 152 episodes of that, hasn't it?
And you are, in fact, recording in your basement.
I am recording in my basement, but I am sampling Heaven Hill for those Bottle and Bond who are bourbon aficionados. This was the 2023 Bourbon of the Year voted. So,
what a flex! What a flex!
Absolutely. So
I'm drinking whatever tea my wife decided to chuck in this glass for me.
Little does he know it's herbs from outside.
It could be crushed up leaves, but it's pretty good.
Very nice.
Hey, my insurance is paid up. It could be hemlock for all I know.
Well, we started talking about Uncle Todd's wild ride at Disney World, but
Yes.
we want to get the deets. He posted some pictures on Facebook. I forget what the park is called, the Star Wars end of it.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge. Okay.
Where you get to visit, I believe it's called Black Spire Outpost on
Nice.
Batuu.
Actually, isn't that from the book we read? The Thrawn book, the last trilogy that we did with Jimmy Dice, wasn't Batuu?
I think so, but I think it was partly because they were incorporating that into the lore.
Okay.
So I forget how
I mean, it's
many...
pretty cool if that's the case. But
Oh yeah, they've totally wrapped it in. The whole idea was when they started doing this, and I think they opened Galaxy's Edge in California before they did the one in Florida.
Yeah.
The whole idea was to have it be a new place, somewhere that you haven't seen in movies and stuff like that. And instead of it being, to kind of have it explain why it's kind of small, I think they figure like, oh yeah, it's just this little outpost somewhere,
Yes. That was the setting of the second book of that Thrawn trilogy. So, haha, nicely done, sir.
Yeah. So, but it's wicked cool. We went the last time we were in Disney. We went to Hollywood Studios, and they of course didn't have this open because it was several years ago.
Mm.
And now you go there, and it's kind of weird because it's this big tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it should almost be like a tunnel heading into like New York City or something. Like it's just a big concrete, edifice sort of wrapped. And then you go into this tunnel, and there's tiles on the side and everything, which gradually give way to concrete and rock and all this. So it kind of transforms as you're walking through, so that when you come out into Galaxy's Edge, you're just fully immersed in the whole thing. And I was just like, yeah, these guys are really fracking good at their job. Like this whole thing, you see none of the outside world.
Yep.
You see none of the rest of the park. You hear none of the rest of the park. And awesome. You have to wander through for a while before you kind of get to what is, the main attraction, which of course is the Millennium Falcon parked in the middle of this bad boy.
Oh, that was a fine picture you took, sir. Fine picture.
But before you get to that, there's an X-wing there. There's an old Republic fighter. Yep, they've got some speeders and stuff hanging around, and there's like a market and all this stuff. It's a really cool experience. It really is. I think that it can be. I think the one thing it can kind of suffer from, and this is a nit, is the fact that it's been built up so much, and because Star Wars is so huge, and because of the two rides that are part of that aspect of the park, are so uber successful and justifiably, all the hype is justified with both of those rides. You're expecting something more. Yeah. You're expecting something even bigger. And the fact is, it was never going to be that big.
Yep.
You're almost feeling like it's going to be a Star Wars park, and it really isn't.
Yep.
Our Hollywood Studios day was kind of centered around going to that. And so my expectations might have been a little high. I was a little disappointed with, some of the merch selection. I really didn't see any T-shirts that I wanted to get or anything like that. I almost wanted to get one of the Rebel Alliance fighter helmets. I so wanted to get.
You should have and got. You could have worn it for the show.
It was like $80, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this into my luggage. But it was so stupid cool looking. And I don't think they have one big enough to fit my squash.
Ship it.
So anyways, that part was disappointing. Everything else though was far and away so good.
Nice.
We did the Smuggler's Run where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a group of 4 of us. It's actually 6 people in the cockpit. So you have 2 pilots, 2 gunners, 2 engineers.
And what were you, engineer Geordie LaForge, or?
I was not. I was one of the gunners. As it so happened, my daughter Caitlin and her friend Emma were the pilots. And so the way it works is one can steer left, right. The other pilot steers up, down.
Yeah.
And immediately as we're getting ready and they line everyone up, they're like, okay, 2 pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 engineers. And I'm just like, they said that Caitlin and Emma are going to be the pilots. I'm like, we're all going to die. They start laughing. I'm like, only one of you has a driver's license. Like, we're in trouble here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is kind of basic in terms of like, a gunner, like you basically something goes across your side of the cockpit screen that you see in front of you, and you tap a button. Like, it's not like you're in the, none of that, but it's still so cool. Like, it is such a nice simulator. It lots of thrills to it, and
like can you see the pilots from where you are? Like, so just in full disclosure, my brother and sister-in-law were in Florida like 2 weeks ago with their son, and they did this ride too. They kind of filled me in on it, so I was wondering if you'd be a pilot or a gunner. But I didn't ask my brother-in-law when he was telling me about it. Yeah, like are you all in close proximity to each other, so you can see the cockpit and you can see what's going on?
You're all in the cockpit.
Oh, you're all in the okay. Yeah. So it's not like you're in another part of the Falcon or something like that. Okay.
No, that would be totally unfeasible.
Yeah.
So you're all in the traditional Millennium Falcon cockpit. So where it was kind of 2 rows, it's a 3 row.
Okay, gotcha.
So and then the of course windscreen is completely you're immersed with the video and all that. And you're getting bumped around and moved around. So I mean, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Asteroids?
Was
Any
it?
asteroids?
Not really, no.
All right.
But it's really fun. It was a lot of fun. I kind of wish I could have gone on it again, but just time didn't allow. Rise of the Resistance, though, is a whole other level.
Oh, really?
That ride to me was like, now y'all just showing off. And if you don't want spoilers for the ride, feel free to go ahead and fast forward a few minutes.
I might not want spoilers.
The thing is, they give you a couple different rides all in one. And the head fake starts right away. So you get into your thing, you get into this, and they're like, okay, you're part of the resistance and you're going to be taken here to do this and blah, blah, blah. So you get on a transport. And in order to get on the transport, like, you've gone through the line, you've kind of gone through a little bit of a video orientation. They open a door, you go outside, and there's the transport in front of you. You go into the transport, they close the doors. And when you walk into the transport, you're walking into like the long side of a rectangle. So you walk in, and immediately in front of you on the other side of the room is another set of double doors.
Okay.
And so immediately I'm like, okay, I know the gig on this. We're going to go in here. We're going to stand here. There's going to be a little bit of a song and dance about what's happening. And then we're going to walk through that other set of doors. Simple enough. No. You go through this whole thing where you're like, you can see through the windscreen, and they have like a not Admiral Akbar, but someone else, Calamari, in front of you, animatronic, and so you can kind of see what's going on, and you're captured.
Okay,
and so then you're taken into a Star Destroyer, and they're like, okay, everybody out, and I'm like, okay, so surely here's where we walk out that other door. No, they open the other door. The door you walked in.
Oh.
And you are in an expansive hangar bay of a Star Destroyer.
Holy moly.
And you're immediately like, wait a minute. We came in that door. It was outside. And even me knowing, like, I logistically know that there's a way you're pulling this off with movie magic, but even me, I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's showing off.
Yeah.
And so then you go, and then it becomes like this trackless ride thing and all that. But I mean, you literally get that. It's like a 20-minute ride.
Wow.
It's way beyond just a 5, like the Smuggler's Run. The actual ride part is maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
This whole thing was like 20 minutes. Jeez. And it goes through all these different phases. And I'm like, this is fracking phenomenal. Nice. Can't recommend it high enough. It started to rain and like downpour the towards the evening when we were there, and I wanted to try and get on it again because I was like, maybe a whole bunch of people took off, And for some reason, the ride was shut down temporarily. And I'm like, okay, I'm not hanging around and getting soaked. So
Yeah.
I pieced out. But so good.
Nice.
My only caveat would be for folks, definitely go there. It's so worth it. Don't go there expecting you're going to spend the entire day in the Star Wars area and be fully satiated as a fan or for your ticket price.
Yeah.
There's a bunch to do there, but there's not that much that you could literally spend the whole day in that one area of the park. You definitely would want to plan on doing some other stuff. Like, you can go to the Indy Stunt Spectacular, and you can do Star Tours for like the 800th time and stuff. But yeah, it was
the Star Tours look like small potatoes compared to those two.
Not really, because the thing is, like, Smuggler's Run is based off of, and part of, again, spoilers, Rise of Resistance is based off of that same type of technology.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's pretty fracking intense. The fact that like you kind of you go through all of that. But yeah, plan some other stuff and you'll be happy. It's those two rides. If you can find a way to work both of those in like a couple times, totally do it. Totally do it. And that's all I got to say about that. Actually, one other thing.
Okay.
One thing I didn't realize is apparently now at Disney, they have their Skyliner gondola system. So there's actually a couple of resorts, if you stay at them on the Disney property, they don't run the buses no more. You got to get on the Skyliner. You got to ride in the gondola.
Oh.
And if it's a little windy out.
Oh.
and you don't like heights to start out with.
Oh, boy.
We came up with a new term because it's time to time, you'll actually stop. Like where they're like helping some people in, or because they actually have, again, friggin' Disney geniuses, for folks who have mobility restrictions, wheelchairs, whatever. They actually have cars already waiting in their stations. You get into those cars, or the person who's mobility issues gets into the car, and then they'll kind of create a gap. And that car comes in from that other track and locks into place, and then goes on the regular thing. And then when they get to the station, they then have to disengage that car and take it on the track. Amazing that you don't have to, you can take, those folks can take their time. You don't have to stop the whole thing, let them get all settled and all that. Like, they can take as much time as they want. Wow. However, you do need to stop everything or slow it down severely in order for that process to take place. Much shorter time. My wife hates heights even more than I do.
Oh, geez.
So we came up with this idea. It's not just that you're hanging, you're dangling, so you're hangling.
Okay.
Which is this different thing where you're hanging and dangling and kind of bouncing and kind of swaying a little bit. Not cool, man. Not cool. I will say, like, I took it over to, we went back and forth to Epcot. I managed to push out for that one. Coming back and forth to Hollywood Studios, I did that once, and I was like, nope, we're doing an Uber after this. I don't need to be a hero.
So
yeah,
is that the primary transportation mechanism from all the resorts now? Is this Skyliner thing?
Not all. There's two specifically.
Okay.
The one that we stayed at, which was Art of Animation, and the Pop Century Resort, and then I think the other there's different stations along the line.
Okay.
So I think for at least 4, they don't run a bus to Epcot or to Hollywood Studios. The Skyliner is the transport.
Oh, so you could get to the park through, like, do buses run from the other resorts though? Or?
From the other resorts, but you don't. Okay. There's also not, the buses don't connect resort to resort.
I see.
So it's not like you can go to a resort, because we tried that, and they're like, "Nah, that don't work." I'm like, "Oh, that sucks." So although I will say again, like, it seems like that just doesn't work. Blah 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 blah. This is creating a bottleneck. And we stayed through the day at Epcot, and we left after their nighttime show finished. And which was really good. The Epcot show was really good. As good as it was, doesn't hold a candle to the Magic Kingdom one. Like if you're going to Disney World, go to the Magic Kingdom and see the grand finale at the end of the night, the fireworks light show thing they do. It is amazing.
Yeah,
it is gorgeous. It started getting me emotional. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I thought I was dead inside. But so we've stayed at Epcot through that show, and of course, like, there's a ton of people trying to get to this Skyliner and get out of the park. And we were right by the entrance for that Skyliner when we finished, so we literally just like turned and went. Even with, hundreds, a couple thousand people maybe trying to get onto this thing, it's going along so quick. It took maybe 15 minutes to get there from the hotel, 15, 20 minutes. It maybe took 40, 45 minutes to get back with that amount of people leaving the park.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of amazing that you figured out you can move that many people like that. So I was like, all right, I guess I don't know anything. However, I'm not a huge fan of hangling. So,
well, I'll have to add that to our what have we learned this episode. Hangling is a term. Uncle Todd and the missus not fans.
No. So, hey, it looks like part of the price tag is still in my tea.
I told you there's some foreign objects in that tea, my friend.
Hey, a little glue never hurt nobody.
Good for what ails you, except for George's fiance from Seinfeld. that did her in.
Great.
Wait, are you not familiar with that storyline?
No, I'm not a Seinfeld fan.
Ah, okay. No, so George Costanza was engaged to be married. But he didn't really want to get married.
So he killed her?
No, she was preparing the invitations. She was preparing the invitations for the wedding, licking the envelopes, which apparently the glue on the envelope was poisonous, and it killed her. And it was like, he had to fight the joy of, I don't have to get married. I mean, it was very dark, the humor with that one. But yes,
I love how you're sitting here explaining to me what is probably a almost 30-year-old show.
Yes. Although I've started watching it from the 10 to 11 hour on our local stations here. They run some Seinfeld reruns, so it's been kind of fun to watch the old classic episodes.
Well, isn't that lovely?
Well, I'm glad you had a good time, my friend, in Florida. Would love to hear more, but of course the show must go on, and so we move on to from Star Wars to Star Wars here, courtesy of our friends at MovieWeb.com. Apparently, The Mandalorian Grogu, which if this is the title of the film, I don't know if I really care for this. The Mandalorian and Grogu. I just come up with something better than this. Come on now. Possibly not, though, because according to this article, this movie will not be receiving the $300 million treatment budget-wise that Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker got. No, instead, this movie will be operating on a budget not to exceed $120 million, which apparently was roughly the budget of a season of The Mandalorian.
Sounds about right.
With it being about $15 million per episode. So, so they're working with money that they're familiar with, but for a motion picture, be interesting to see if it'll be enough for what they need to do. But nonetheless, Mandalorian and Grogu will be filming will commence June 17th, 2024. And there is no word yet if we're going to get a season 4 of Mando. I'd be kind of surprised if they do, honestly. But the film itself, The Mandalorian and Grogu, is supposed to release December 18th of 2026. So we got a couple of years before we get it. But nonetheless, I'm not sure how that's going to work into the whole Thrawn thing. I'm kind of hoping we get a little Thrawn in some of these other properties to kind of forward the story of him a little bit, but we will see. But Mando and Grogu, 120 mil, no 300 mil. I think they'll make it good nonetheless. Thoughts, sir?
No, I'm all good. I think it's going to be a winner. I think theoretically, you could still do Mando season 4. I mean, you're doing a ton of stuff in the volume, and if you shoot simultaneously, you have a lot of your folks all in one place. That's a massive undertaking. But then again, I mean, how many films have shot back to back? So, you know, that could work. I don't know. It'll be interesting no matter what. I'm in. I mean, I enjoy those characters, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, no, I'm big thumbs up for me.
Nice. And then over the course of Uncle Todd's vacation week, we got some news on a Marvel property that he has some investment in. We have an announcement.
More Pedro news.
Yeah, more Pedro news. We have an announcement of who will be in the Fantastic Four, being the titular characters. But we will have Reed Richards, played by Pedro Pascal, Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby will be playing Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. Joseph Quinn of Stranger Things fame as Johnny Storm, a.k.a. the Human Torch. And Eben Moss Bacharach as Ben Grimm, a.k.a. the Thing. So we now have our 4 horsemen and women of the fantastic nature coming at you. The Fantastic Four, I believe, is set to release July 25th of 2025. And that will follow the Thunderbolts. This is all from this article, courtesy of Variety.com, which will release May 2nd of 2025 as well. So some interesting content coming our way from that perspective. But what are your thoughts on that casting, sir? Pedro, Vanessa, Joseph, and Ebon.
You know,
Not Egon, but Ebon.
Is it Ebon or Eben?
Maybe it's Eben.
Yeah. I'll say, aside from Pedro, I don't know any of these other cats.
Yeah.
At least I don't know them enough to be like, oh, them. Maybe I've seen them in something, and I'm not connecting the dots.
I'm most excited about Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things because he came in this last season of it, which was like 2 years ago, I think, as a side character, and his character Eddie ended up becoming one of the more popular characters, from that season, and just a very talented actor. So I'm kind of excited to see what he does with the role, and really hoping that this go around of it will be more successful than prior go arounds, because unfortunately, as we've talked about, this franchise just seems to have a little bit of a dark cloud over it, where it cannot seem to hit the notes and kind of strike a chord with audiences. So
yeah, well, I mean, we say that what to me is the original, Fantastic Four. Excuse me. Back when they had Chiklis and Chris Evans.
Yep.
Was I thought that first movie was pretty good for its time. I don't know if I've ever seen the second one though, which is very odd. I mean, given what it was pretty good. And I think it did all right. I mean, they made a second one. Fan Forstick was an abomination. We should all forget that ever happened. A very interesting experiment in like, hey, what happens if you leave out the entire third act of a movie? Here you go. This one, I don't know. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic only because, even when Marvel has let us down, they're still entertaining movies. Like I watched the Marvels over the last month or so with the fam. Is it a movie that I'm going to have to watch and rewatch again and again and again? No. Is it a movie that I enjoyed? Yeah, it was a fun ride. And I think that's something that we might all have to adjust our expectations in the same way that I talked about with the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, adjusting your expectations down to like, this is not its own Star Wars park. It's a portion of an amusement park.
Yeah.
And the smallest of the 4 Disney parks in Florida. So it's a part of a part. In the same way, we might all have to adjust our expectations backwards a little bit after Infinity War and Endgame, where they really managed to build something up to the point of what we had discussed before, of it being like not just a good superhero movie, not just a good movie, but actually a good, like it transcended into good cinema. Like it became a grand cinematic experience.
Right.
We might need to all just kind of bring it back a little bit and understand that you don't get that all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay just to have a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, I'm optimistic. I'm not really sure about Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. I just don't know. Like that is the anchor. And and believe me, I get where they're going because I know there's a whole bunch of people who are doing their fantasy casting with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt being, Mr. and Mrs. Richards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was ever really going to happen.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do here is they're trying to go, a little bit different way and maybe not have a ton of money spent in, paydays. Although I don't think Pedro's working for free these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to see that, which in a way has me intrigued because being a slam dunk might set those expectations higher. I would actually much rather be like, I don't know, and then come away going, wow, I was pleasantly surprised with the performance.
He's on a roll though. I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah, he's everywhere. I mean, he's
the Last
drunk
of Us
at the Emmys or whatever it was.
The Last of Us was I don't think it was expected to fail, but I don't think it was expected to resonate the way that it did. Being based on a video game, and given some of the fatigue I think that exists in the zombie era or the zombie genre a little bit, given The Walking Dead kind of signing off.
Mm-hmm. But now coming back, don't they have another show? It's like they have Fear of the Walking Dead, and then isn't there another one now?
Fear of the Walking Dead. So I don't watch Fear of the Walking Dead, but I read up on the shows because I still kind of follow them. That show I believe has wrapped up. They do have some kind of spin-offs they're doing. One's on the Daryl Dixon character. That one has already aired a season. There was another one with the Maggie character and Negan character called Walking, was it something like Dead in New York or something like that? It was based in New York City. And then they're doing one where, and I'm spacing on the actor's name. He plays Rick Grimes. I can't think of his name, but he's that actor who stepped away. I think it was in season 9, is coming back to do one called Walking Dead. Oh my God.
Even Walkerer?
No,
even more walking.
Something about we're the ones that survive or something like that.
Walk hard. Oh wait, no,
forget.
that was a John C. Reilly movie.
Yeah. I got to look it up online because it's.
Anyways, but yeah, no, I can see that.
Oh, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. That's what it's called. Yeah.
So I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. Where I mean, yeah, it definitely exceeded expectations, and maybe it's just a fact that I just still have a bad taste in my mouth from Wonder Woman 1984.
Well, yeah.
And honestly, Pedro Pascal was actually one of the better parts of that movie. I mean, completely illogical in most every way.
Yep.
Things that were going on, but there was a certain kind of something there that was like, all right, in a craptastic movie, that guy's all right.
Yeah.
But so maybe we'll see what happens.
And no, I don't know if we'll post in the show notes, but absolutely hysterical when he hosted Saturday Night Live. Has had some very memorable run on that show. So I'll see if I can dig up a couple links and shoot them over to Uncle Todd. All right. Well, after all that ballyhoo about the vacation, the budget for Mando and Grogu and the Fantastic Four, that, my friends, is the Week in Geek.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're still playing with freaking toys.
One thing, since we're talking a lot of Star Wars, I got the book right here. You want to do a quick Red 5 right now, just impromptu?
Please, no.
I'll cut the episode right here. I am in no mood to deal with your fracking Star Wars trivia shenanigans right now.
Oh, come on, man. It'd be fun. All right. What are we talking about, by the way?
I have no way of expressing the thoughts in my head right now without going totally family unfriendly. So,
well, thank you for showing some restraint and for
just gonna sit
cooler
here
heads prevailing. Really? No Red 5, though?
You're wrong.
Anyways.
All right, let's move on to the main event.
Actually, I got to take a time out here in order to replenish my tea.
Okay.
I am unacceptably empty.
I
so
gotcha.
let us return in a moment.
All right.
A few moments later.
You all strapped in there?
I think so. Just need to give a little stir, you know.
I was gonna say, you call me bougie. What's going on over there with the mixing of the tea? You got some honey, you got some bourbon in there. What's going on?
Yes and yes.
All right.
Got a little honey, some lemon,
Mm.
and then I put in some benchmark barrel proof, 125 proof bourbon.
Nice.
I'm going to try your method here in the name of also getting to sleep after this show.
All right. If talking to me for an hour and a half doesn't put you to sleep, nothing will. Actually, I should probably fuel up for the brackets here.
Oh, righty, sir. Oh, good Lord. He's got.
There it is.
That's a fairly good cork pop, sir. Good. Good on you. So, we are entering Region 1 of our Star Wars
Red one
brackets.
Red one. Or Rogue One, for that matter.
No, Rogue One is in a different region. So the way that we kind of structured this out is we have one bracket here. Our Region 1 is the original OG trilogy as well as the prequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the characters from this region are going to come from those 6 movies, episodes 1 through 6. Our next region will be for the post-squeal trilogy and Solo movies, including Solo, the movie. There's no delicate way to get around that one.
No, there isn't.
And so then Region 3 will be all animated streaming shows, and Region 4 will be live action streaming. So it kind of played out.
Rika!
What?
I was trying to sound like Omega saying Wrecker.
Oh, okay.
Rika!
Yeah,
She's got that Aussie thing going on there, that New Zealand accent. So.
Yeah, which are different. Don't anger the 2 people in Australia who are listening.
Come on.
So we we fought with this a while. We are not including any characters from strictly the books, so that we don't have to get into what's approved and canon, as opposed to legends, as opposed to expand. It's just too much.
I'm realizing I have an issue with this bracket now.
You know what?
You did not include Lobot.
Who's Lobot again?
So in Empire, when they're on Cloud City,
yes.
there's that bald guy that has like a metal kind of ring around.
Oh yeah, that's him.
That's Lobot.
Oh well, I would like to apologize to him and his family.
I'd have him advancing over Kenobi any day.
Jeez. Anyways, so we weren't able to quite pare it down to just a strict 16. So we do have a bit of a play-in bracket.
We do.
And we will not be going into great detail about the individual characters and who they are, because quite honestly, if you've listened this far, you probably know Star Wars fairly well.
Ubiquitous. That is what we're holding to. It is ubiquitous. Star Wars is ubiquitous.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Joe Quimby.
Era.
I'm just for reference sake, though, I'm going to include some links in the show notes for the movies. I'm not sure if we'll be able. I'm not sure how they'll have that organized, but it'll either be.
He had a promotion in Empire. That should have gotten him on the play-in list here.
Who did?
Admiral Piet is his name in Empire.
Is this going to be how this goes? Because quite honestly, I can't deal with
I
this.
love
right
how
now.
in this episode you're playing more of the straight man and I'm the wacky nut job. All right, sorry. I will take the foot off the nut job gas pedal.
I've got all I can do just to
I apologize.
Not go cross-eyed right now. So
one do red 5. All right, I'll stop. I'm sorry.
So anyway, look, and now he's putting his microphone away. He's going to pout.
No,
Isn't
it was a show of good faith. I'm pushing the mic away to let you speak, sir.
Oh, yeah, you're letting me do all the work. I see how that goes. So, anyways, we will get into this. I'll have notes so you can do your own research and all that fun stuff. And let's get into this. So let's start off with our play-in bracket, sir. Here, take us away. We've got play-in 1, play-in 2.
All right, so our play-in bracket is made up of 8 individuals across two brackets. So play-in 1 is going to be Grand Moff Tarkin versus General Grievous. And play-in 1 bracket 2 is going to be Mace Windu versus Qui-Gon Jinn. Why did we put heel versus heel, face against face? It's what we do.
Yeah.
We're unconventional that way.
We're agents of chaos.
Well, at least Uncle Todd is. I just kind of go along for the ride.
And I'm the one who put together this play-in bracket.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. All right, sir. So Grand Moff Tarkin and General Grievous. I'm filling mine out in real time here. I had zero time. I got our outline set up last night. I got our brackets generated, and then I did not proceed.
I love how
to
he does that.
fill
The
out
brackets generated. He literally pressed a button.
Hey, at least you have something to fill out. Come on. Give me a little credit. Oh, look, he's hacking up a lung now. Oh, good God. Ladies and gentlemen, mark it down. Episode 153, Uncle Todd taps out at minute 53:04.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I broke a blood vessel in my
Oh,
arm.
good Lord.
Anyways, so who you got in the first one of these? You got Tarkin versus Grievous.
I gotta be honest. As cool as Grievous was, being the wielder of multiple sabers, that does to me it just doesn't hold a candle to Tarkin. Tarkin just was such a badass character. I mean, he was an Imperial stooge through and through. I mean, even though he was only in one movie, or technically 2 movies if you count Rogue One with his CGI stuff. He just had he just personified the Imperial attitude, which was to squash, all who would rise up against and not align with, the Imperial order. And so General Grievous was an agent of not, I wouldn't call him an agent of chaos, but just he was carrying out his end of the not the resistance, but some sort of rebellion of some kind, separatist movement. I believe he was on the Separatists, right? But nonetheless, just doesn't really hold a candle to Tarkin. So I'm going to go with Grand Moff Tarkin on this one.
I'm going the same direction. Tarkin gets it for me.
All right. Now I'm also going to fill this in my bracket so I don't.
Oh, goody.
All right. Our next play-in 1 bracket number 2 is Mace Windu versus Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm interested. I just spoke on this one, sir. What's your rationale around this?
Well, Mace is a bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
And he actually did. He asked that his lightsaber have bad mother on it, which is a beautiful thing. And you can get purple lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge. I was wondering that.
Oh, I was going to ask, did you get a lightsaber when you were there?
Did
no?
Not, no.
Oh, come on.
No, all right. The mouse has enough of my money. He didn't need any more.
Fair enough.
I'm going with Qui-Gon Jinn here. As cool as I thought Mace Windu was as a character, and apparently he's getting fleshed out really well in a comics run written by a friend of the show, Mark Bernardin, from Fat Man Beyond. Qui-Gon stood out because he was just a bit unconventional as a Jedi.
Yeah,
and was kind of more in line with what the Jedi ideal was, as opposed to what the reality was, at least at that time.
Yeah.
So I give Qui-Gon the nod there.
All right.
Yourself.
Well, I kind of look at this as 2 men who brought about, basically in their own kind of odd way, the evil force that was Darth Vader. You had Qui-Gon Jinn, who identified Anakin and wanted and had kind of a pure intention of raising him as a Jedi, and that getting derailed very early on with his death at the hands of Darth Maul. And then you have Mace Windu, who, quite honestly, consistently through the prequels, is very skeptical of Anakin. Every single interaction he has with Anakin, he is skeptical of him. And ends up being, I mean, it's really kind of interesting. Qui-Gon's the one that finds Anakin and sets him on his path, and Mace is the one who, Anakin, kind of calls for help to take down once he understands that Palpatine is a Sith Lord. Mace is there to face off against Palpatine and is the one who pays the price, given Anakin's, fear and desire to save his wife. And so it is kind of interesting that we ended up with these two facing off, because they're kind of bookends, if you will, for Anakin, being discovered, and then eventually at that juncture point where he flips over and becomes a Sith and takes on the mantle of Vader. That's, manifested with Mace Windu. Gosh, this is a tough one, because and I don't remember exactly how Filoni put it. I got to go back to the first season of what's that behind the scenes series where they showed us
gallery.
He does an amazing job of kind of talking about the impact of like it wasn't just about the impact of Qui-Gon Jinn, but just the story being told across the prequels into this into the OG trilogy about Anakin's journey. And he I can't do it justice. I'll have to see if I can find the episode, but it was really interesting because it really brought an importance to Qui-Gon Jinn that I think gets lost, because he goes down in episode 1. But all that being said, you went with Qui-Gon Jinn. I got to go with Mace Windu. Mace has an impact, and in a lot of ways is in some ways the reason why Anakin flips, to some degree. So I'm going to go Mace Windu on this one. As much as it pains me, I like Qui-Gon Jinn. I like what Liam Neeson did with him, but Mace Windu.
I have a certain set of skills.
Well, and may I also add
doesn't involve dodging a lightsaber.
May I also add too? Like, I don't know if you've seen on YouTube, there is a. I don't think it's a fan video. I think it was actually like an edit that they did that they ended up taking out of the movie. But that whole scene in Attack of the Clones when he takes down Jango Fett, that was actually a lot worse than what happened. Even though he decapitates him, like when you watch it, he actually takes a limb off. He takes his head off. I mean, he injures him. I mean, it was like he goes to town. Mace Windu is not one to be trifled with. So
no.
So anyways, but I'm going to go Mace Windu on this one as my play-in one finalist.
All right, well then let's finish this up. So between you got Tarkin and you've got Mace Windu, who wins?
Oh my God, this is a tough one already.
Oh my gosh, they're all tough ones. Let's speed.
They are going to be tough.
I got to get to sleep sometime tonight.
All right. Well, we should have recorded
I've got weights
tomorrow.
to lift.
We should have got tomorrow.
I got weights to lift then the next day too. Like, I got to get to bed every night.
You got burden to carry. Beast of burden. I hear you.
I
right.
won't be a beast.
So we have the man that caused Vader to turn versus the man who told Vader to knock it off when he was choking one of the Imperial officers who was sassing him.
Interesting way to phrase it. All right.
It's like, Vader, heal.
It was really too.
I mean, it was.
Yep. So who you got?
All right.
Do I need to call your wife and have her bring down a coin? Like,
it pains me to do. No. I'm thinking it through. It pains me to do this, but I'm going to go with Mace Windu on this one. I think thinking about impact, thinking about all what we talked about, Tarkin is definitely the personification of the Imperial evil, but Windu and his impact and the way he kind of brought a skepticism to Anakin and was that key kind of turning point for him. I'm going to go Mace Windu on this one.
Well, I think the only point I would disagree is I don't think Tarkin represents the pure evil of the Empire.
Sure.
He represents just that, the evil that is personified in a very fascist administrator.
Yes.
Who is
thank you.
Very cold, and it's just checking boxes.
Yep.
And making lines add up, and that's all it is to him.
Yep. Absolutely.
And Peter Cushing, or that was it was
Peter Cushing. Yep.
It did that so well. Like that, very much of like, whatever. It's just a planet.
That's
we have
the part
more.
That's amazing to me with these movies is these roles and the way Lucas cast them. I mean, it's like it's just so serendipitous. I mean, these guys were so good at bringing the soul of these characters out, and with Tarkin, who is, I hate to say it, I mean, he's kind of a small part, even in episode 4, but nonetheless, still resonates to the point where when he was in Rogue One, like people were kind of excited to see what they could do in CGI to bring him back, and it was quite honestly one of the more interesting parts. I mean, I enjoyed that movie end to end, but I really enjoyed seeing more Tarkin because we didn't get to see a lot of him. So, but I'm going to go with Mace Windu on this one. What about you, sir?
I'm going to go Qui-Gon,
Okay.
just because I believe what he did. Again, Tarkin had a very important part to play and represented what the Empire's administrative side looked like.
Yep.
Qui-Gon just was overall more important to where Kenobi ends up and to where Anakin ends up as a side.
Yep.
So yeah,
Okay.
Qui-Gon for me.
All right, we go to play-in 2, bracket number 1. This is what we're going to call the jobber match right here, because Darth Maul versus Mon Mothma. How on earth did you line this one up, sir? Shame on you.
I tried to have at least one heel face, I mean,
you got to do Mon Mothma against Padme or something, like at least make it competitive in some sort of way. But
so I'm guessing you went Mon Mothma.
Well, I have a soft spot for her. No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, quite honestly, Mon Mothma against anyone is going to be kind of a hard one because she's really in like a scene in Return of the Jedi. Like she's really not a presence throughout any of these movies. And unfortunately, she was supposed to, from what I understand, she was supposed to be a part, I think, of episode 2 or episode 3.
Yeah.
And her scenes were cut. Which is, and I don't know the actress's name, but the actress who plays her now in like Andor was the one, I believe, who played her back, in 2005 in Revenge of the Sith. And so, but this one's an easy one. I'm going with Darth Maul on this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, this one's interesting. So Boba Fett, everyone's favorite bounty hunter. I mean, this was the guy we all geeked out about as kids against Jabba the Hutt.
Yep. This one's tough because it is very difficult to get past the coolness of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Just, he was so cool because you knew so little about him. However, that also being said, it's kind of a Mon Mothma sort of thing. Like he's in a couple scenes and that's it. And Jabba the Hutt, meanwhile, is
he's in the prequels as a kid.
Well, true, but I mean yeah, okay, fine. Jabba, on the other hand, is a major player in terms of like things that are happening throughout. From episode 4 to episode 6, like it's Jabba who Han's trying to get money for.
Yeah.
It's Jabba where they send
Jabba looms large across the OG trilogy. I agree 100%.
So I mean, I've got to go with Jabba on this one.
I like your logic.
Can we just take your deep sigh as read for every single one of these going forward? We could cut about 5 minutes out of this episode if we would have that.
I know.
Hang on a minute. I need to burp up a deviled egg to.
This one's hard.
It's like a cow chewing its cud.
Yeah.
Here, let me think this over.
All right, you progress Jabba. I'm going to go ahead and give Boba the nod. I mean, I 100% agree with your logic, but Boba Fett for me was, I think I said this when we started doing our reviews of Mando, like Mando season 1 episode 3. That is when he goes in and does the retrieval of Grogu and does all this sort of like kind of like spy kind of stuff, and almost like. I'm trying to think of the word for it. Soldier of fortune kind of predator soldier kind of tactics that he uses. That's what I always envisioned for Boba Fett. Like that's how I always wanted to see him. And he was such an interesting character to me. He was jobbed out, unfortunately, in Return of the Jedi, in a jobber like way. By the way, I mean not not in a way you're like, oh, that was a cool way to go. No, he was jobbed out in pretty much the worst possible way.
It was almost like Santino running into the Royal Rumble and immediately being thrown out.
Yes, and
Like,
still, like running and playing his, air trombone as he was going.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm gonna go with. Oh gosh, I really want to go with Boba Fett.
Then do it. You realize there's no money on this, right?
All right, I'm gonna go with Boba Fett.
There you go.
But I'm going with Boba Fett, but I want to acknowledge the fact that Uncle Todd, you're right. Jabba looms large across the trilogy. 4, 5, and 6. He's there, baby. So I hear you.
Good.
I hear you.
So you've got Darth Maul versus Boba Fett, two jobbers. So this is the Barry Horowitz, Iron Mike Sharp division. Hang on a minute. I got a black piece of fabric around here somewhere.
Wait a minute. I got to pat my back.
Yeah. So who you got there?
Man, I did this to myself. It's interesting. Both of these characters were so short-lived, but yet, like, Maul for me was such a missed opportunity. Why they didn't extend him at least into episode 2 or go all the way into 3 is beyond me. You know what I mean?
Lucas can be a bit of a doofus.
Well, fair enough. I'm going to go Darth Maul on this one. As much as I like Boba Fett, I really thought they had something very cool with Darth Maul, and we got him for one movie, and I thought it was, he made such an impact from a fighting perspective, a visual perspective. It brought his I'm forgetting what the name of his alien race is called. Let me just look it up real quick. I think it's called Zabrak. Yeah, I think it was called the Zabrak, which we'd never seen in any sort of visual Star Wars medium before. So it was just so different to see and that kind of thing. I gotta go with Darth Maul. As much as I love Boba Fett, as much as I want to advance him into the tournament, I got to go with Darth Maul in this one.
Well,
how about you, sir?
Darth Maul versus Jabba the Hutt. Easy, Jabba. I mean,
really?
Done and done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you're totally right about everything you said about Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm not going to advance him. I can't get around the idea of like, well, it could have been like, no, we got the movies. This is what it was. And sorry.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. All right. So coming out of play-in 1, we got Mace Windu for me, Darth Maul for my play-in 2. For Uncle Todd, we have, I believe, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes.
For your play-in 1, and Jabba the Hutt for play-in 2.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready, sir, for the 16? Sorry, I screwed up my spreadsheet here. All right. There we go.
Boy.
All right. Are you ready, sir, to enter into the 16 that we now need to whittle down to 1 in Region 1/Red 1?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Starting off in our first round here, Obi-Wan Kenobi, as played by Ewan McGregor. This is awful. Against Han Solo. Good God.
I've got a bad feeling about
Man, this is not easy, and it's freaking first round.
Yep. There's very few layups in this one.
I'm going to have you go first on this one. I need to think about this.
I mean, Ewan McGregor did such a great job with that character.
100%.
Who was already iconic. But Han Solo was, I mean, as much as like you kind of wanted to be Luke when you were growing up and you were playing Star Wars with your buddies out there, everyone really kind of wanted to be Han.
Yeah.
He was just cooler. So Han Solo.
All right.
And also, I mean, his character, I mean, Obi-Wan has a very good character arc, but the Han Solo character, to me, it just felt, and it might just be the fact this original trilogy, has a wider swing in his character arc.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's not the most objective way to rate these two, but I mean, if you think about who is more iconic, you have Ewan McGregor playing a role that someone already established and fulfilling it in a wonderful way. I mean, he completely channels, the spirit of what Alec Guinness did in episode 4.
and expands on it. It
And
isn't just
yeah.
like he's just taking the character and shepherding it. Like he's actually basing it off of that and then expanding on it. Not easy to do whatsoever.
No. But then you got Han Solo, who is like the iconic rogue character, from sci-fi, who when we go into role-playing games or if you go into Star Wars The Old Republic, for me, I play the bounty hunter, I play the smuggler, and why do I play both of those? Boba Fett and Han Solo, 110%.
Not to mention a look that has been copped by, millions of college girls over the past 20 some odd years.
Yes.
The boots, the vest. I mean, you see it everywhere.
Yeah. I got to go Han Solo. Sorry, Ewan, but I got to go Han Solo. All right, next round, we have Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen against Lando Calrissian.
Well, what do we have here?
Some Colt 45.
Works every time. Man, this one's tough because I love me some Lando Calrissian. If you thought Han was cool, the only way that you can get a cooler smuggler is Lando.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the man pulled off a cape. He pulled off a
and some
cape
strange
in space
shade of blue as well, to boot.
I mean, I give him points for that.
Oh my God.
Most people look ridiculous wearing a cape. It just is. That man, he could wear a cape out on the streets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people will be like, that's a bad mamma jamma right there. That dude's sharp. That being said, I mean, this entire saga, these 6 movies really kind of center around Anakin / Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen takes a lot of guff for this, but I mean, his character has become iconic. And so I've got to give it to Anakin.
Fair enough. I have to go and consider the fact that Lando, I mean, in one appearance in Empire and then, kind of a smattering of appearances over Return of the Jedi.
The man blows up the second Death Star, along with whatever little, dude that's with him. I don't know who that was, but
what is that guy that's with him? I gotta look.
If only Jimmy Dice were here, he could tell us exactly. He's actually sensing a disturbance in the Force right now from our lack of knowledge on this.
Neen Nub is his name.
Okay, sure.
Neen Nub. All right.
So who you got? Anakin
the question
or Lando?
Before me is Anakin or Lando. Gosh. This is hard. Yeah, I know you're checking your watch. I'm trying to process this in real time. You have a great point. Anakin looms large over the 6, the prequels and the OG trilogy. But Lando, I'd love to see a Han versus Lando bracket though. That would be fun. No, I got to go with you on this one. Anakin makes sense. He is the reason for the season. So we will go for it.
All righty.
Well, it's true. I mean, he's the driving force behind the 6 movies, for crying out loud.
I wouldn't have guessed that, we would have managed to somehow, bring Jesus into this, but okay.
Well, he is a archetype in a way.
I mean, just want to let y'all know, I didn't say that.
Oh, good Lord.
All right, so next up, we've got our droid bracket.
Okay, and this is funny. Like for all our listeners, this bracket was randomly generated. Somehow the 2 droids ended up in the same bracket. C-3PO versus R2-D2. Who are you going with?
As iconic as C-3PO is, as the fussy butler-esque, just annoying walking exposition tool, R2-D2 managed to be a fully formed character without actually speaking a word that you could understand, and has a presence not only in these movies but also going forward, to the point where people see R2 in Rise of Skywalker and just lose their minds. So I mean, that all starts here, and it really was there in the original trilogy. So I got to give it to R2.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. This is a for me, as far as which of these is more impactful. I mean, C-3PO, is certainly iconic in his own way, but R2-D2, I mean, having zero ability to communicate in our language and yet communicate so much emotion, bring so much laughter, bring so much, joy. And yet, also in those difficult areas of the films, expressing that sort of sadness as well, and doing it all through just beeps and boops. I mean, it's incredible. So I'm going with R2-D2 as well on this one.
Very well. So then we have a play-in versus Luke Skywalker.
You want to just call it?
This is the squash match per portion of the show.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, unfortunately, no matter who you put up against Luke, I mean, as much as I enjoyed Darth Maul, I mean, Luke Skywalker is far and above.
Yeah, I've got Jabba the Hutt versus Luke Skywalker, which is funny considering how they meet up in the film.
It is. It is.
However, yeah, Luke. Yeah, it's just the call.
All right, this next bracket is I'm going to call this the irony bracket, because we have the Ben Kenobi, as played by Sir Alec Guinness, facing off against Princess Leia Organa.
Hello
Help
there.
me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
And now, throw him in a pit with a broken pool cue.
The smack is down. Oh, yeah. Caddy asses.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. So who do you got here?
Oh my gosh, this is a hard one. Because
is it really?
It is really, because you got two of the originals facing off against each other. You got Carrie Fisher and Alec Guinness here, and both of these characters iconic in their own way.
But one was in like one movie, and the other was in.
No, one was in 3 movies. He may have been holographic in 2.
Okay, so he showed up for a little cameo in 2.
Hey.
Okay, you're right.
He revealed some very important stuff. It was important.
He did. You're okay.
It was important.
Not trying to besmirch Sir Alec.
All
Who
right.
did you pick?
Princess Leia.
Okay, I'm glad we could get there. I agree. I went with Leia as well.
Uncle Todd is trying to get through this because the lozenge is getting smaller and smaller by the minute. He just wants to fly through this.
I've already gone through 2 in this.
Well, you're going to go through half a bag before we're done. How's that tea holding up? You down to like a quarter?
Yeah, I'm below a quarter.
Oh boy. All right, our next bracket. This is a tough one. Master Yoda and Padme. Jobber, are you?
Well, it's tough because honestly, the character of Padme is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because the comparisons between her and Princess Leia are legion, and the comparisons of being the actress taking over, some archetypal role like that. Natalie Portman did a hell of a job in terms of trying to differentiate Padme from Leia while also honoring some of the aspects of Leia's character.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's tough when you get your ass kicked by a Muppet. It really is. I mean, but
Not
Yoda
easy being
is
green.
iconic, and kudos to Frank Oz for bringing that puppet to life. And I just saw something about who the guy who created the actual mold. I can't remember his name right now. But Yoda is kind of one of those pillars of this entire story, and doesn't function without him. And you could say, well, you don't get Luke and Leia without Padme. Well, yeah, but I mean, we did just fine in the original trilogy, not knowing who the mama was. So,
but here's the question: who's iconic? Is Padme iconic or is Yoda iconic?
Yoda,
100%.
Yeah, so it's got to be, for me. It's Yoda.
It's got to be Yoda.
Yeah, and I mean, Portman did a hell of a job, but
no disrespect, but
no.
When you're facing against Yoda, I mean, at the time Empire came out, I mean, I was at least old enough to remember this. as a kid, and then later on when I would watch the movies, as a preteen and a teen and as an adult, Yoda is just, I mean, it's just, it's like comfort viewing. You know what I mean? It's like you he was such a unique character when he first came out. I mean, it was something, I mean, he wasn't new. He was certainly kind of the archetype of, that sort of martial arts master sort of thing, but done in a very different way that we had never seen before. And Frank Oz was just, I mean, he brought so much to just the voice and the just the articulation and just everything about Yoda just made him so different. And I think was what made Empire so special was, credit to Lucas and that entire crew for bringing to life a new character. I mean, it's not easy when you go into the sequels. You're never guaranteed that things are gonna land the way that you hope. And to follow up Star Wars, which is a blockbuster, with Empire and have it be even in some ways better than the first one, that's so difficult to do. And Yoda, my God, he was a big reason that happened. So, 100%.
Yep.
All right.
Next up, we got a play-in versus Chewbacca.
Who you got?
So I got Qui-Gon Jinn versus Chewbacca.
This is the Iron Mike Sharp bracket.
Chewie. I mean, come on.
Chewie didn't need the armband to inflict any damage.
No.
I'm going to go the same. As much as I bandied about Mace's importance in the prequels, but it's Chewbacca, dude. How do you not advance that? Mm-hmm. Come on now.
All right, we got a quick one.
This last round one bracket, forget Ben Kenobi and Princess Leia as the ironic, bracket. This one takes the cake. The Emperor Senator Palpatine versus Darth Vader.
The student has now become the master.
Randomly generated, mind you. We did not plan this. This was all in the scripting, and somehow it came out this way. This is hard. Because as much as, you look at, I mean, both of these characters loom large across, the OG trilogy. You have both of them in some indirect way looming large over the prequel trilogy. But again, I go back to that line of who is iconic.
I love how you're like agonizing over this.
I am agonizing over this.
I made
want
this
to do
decision
justice.
in 1 second.
Okay, what's yours in 1 second?
Vader.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I mean, because and I think that the line that you were going along is one's iconic and one is like less iconic.
Yes.
When you think of a bad guy, it's the reason why there was so many heels, so many of the bad guys wound up in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to Vader,
yep,
everyone's playing second fiddle, and in most cases, not even second fiddle, third or fourth.
Yep. I would agree. I mean, when you think of episode 4, I mean, Vader was one of those characters that just blew from what I've read and documentaries I've watched. Vader, along with that shot of like the Star Destroyer flying overhead, the visual of Vader coming in was just something people just had not seen before. And it was like, damn, this is a pretty nasty bad guy. Even though when you look at him and you think about like Spaceballs and kind of the ludicrousy of the costume, but nonetheless, I mean, he is, he is this nasty bad guy. And then in Empire, you start to see that he's a little bit more than machine. He's got that man machine thing going on. And then you see the humanity come out in Return of the Jedi. And of course, in the prequels, we see how he becomes the machine. But yeah, no, I mean, he's just such an iconic character and just, in a lot of ways redefined, the villain for science fiction. So, how do you not, I mean, the Emperor is equally as bad, I mean, he, from a character like storytelling standpoint, is such a great story about this sort of, this guy who was playing, two roles, he had two sides to him. And when you look at the prequels, I mean, Palpatine was basically the one who was playing both sides of the war. I mean, he caused an entire conflict, a galactic-wide conflict that he was playing both sides of. And so when you think of it from a storytelling perspective, the Emperor is quite a nuanced and very very interesting character, but iconic, unfortunately not.
Agreed. All right, we are into round 2 here.
Quarterfinals. All right, my first. So my quarterfinal bracket. First one
Actually, this is the quarterfinals. Quarter is 4. This is 8.
No, quarter. Then the next round is semis, and then you have the finals.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind.
There you go. That's all right. Have another gulp of tea. You're all good.
That's all gone.
All right. Take a little NyQuil. That'll help you.
Oh yeah.
Capital
Believe
N,
me, that's
small Y, big Q.
Big effing Q. Believe me, that's my future. Gonna be making a milkshake out of that and taking it to bed with me.
All right. So my quarterfinal first bracket is Han Solo versus Anakin. Is that yours?
It is.
All right. So what are you doing on that one?
Han Solo.
All right.
Again, that one it's just a gut reaction. Like again, Hayden Christensen did what he did. That character is what it is. Han Solo is just that much more iconic.
He is, in Ric Flair's verbiage, the man. All right.
You want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Indeed. Well, this is a rather interesting pairing. My next bracket in the quarterfinals is R2-D2.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did you pick Han Solo as well?
Oh, I did. I said that. Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. As much as Anakin looms large across these two trilogies, yeah. I mean, when you look at just the iconic character, it's Han Solo all the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second bracket in the quarterfinal round. R2-D2 versus his partner, Luke Skywalker.
I know. This is like the Maverick and Goose
This
fight
is
to the death.
This is an interesting one. With interesting implications for the next round. So,
yes, indeed. But again, this one was another one that came in a moment to me, Luke, because he is the iconic character, and R2-D2, great character, but come on, you got one of the main ones here. So yeah, Luke in a landslide,
100%. All right, now my next bracket. I don't know if this is the same for you. Princess Leia and Yoda.
Same.
Okay. I think I'm going to go for this one. Oh, this is tough. Because now the iconic thing is kind of hard to sort out, because you got Carrie Fisher's. Well, for me it is. You got Carrie Fisher's Leia versus Yoda. This is hard. I don't know. If you know who you want to go with, why don't you go?
Leia.
All right.
Leia in a heartbeat. When you think about the progression of Leia's character, even though she started out in the abstract as the damsel in distress, even though she never really was, to then leading her own rescue on the Death Star, to then kind of the love machinations of Empire into Return of the Jedi, where she out and out takes out Jabba the Hutt.
Yep.
On her own.
Oh, good point.
I mean,
good point.
I don't know what else you want. Yoda is integral to the story. He's got to be there. But at the end of the day, like, Leia is a much more iconic character, especially when you deal with the paucity, if you will, of female characters in these movies.
Yeah.
Done and done for me.
Yeah, for me, I think my struggle is just, again, both characters carry so much weight across these, at least the original, well, actually all movies, Leia, the original trilogy, Yoda to some degree across all the movies, but Uncle Todd's checking his watch, so that means I need to talk for another 5 minutes.
What?
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say Princess Leia on this one, as much as it pains me to leave Yoda behind. I'm going to say Princess Leia. All right, and then my last bracket for quarterfinals is Chewbacca versus Darth Vader. Is that what you have?
That is what I have as well.
This is a hard one. This is a hard one.
Not really.
Iconic villain versus iconic sidekick.
Vader.
Come on.
Sorry. Again, it was just a gut reaction. Like,
cold. You're cold. So cold.
As ice.
But I have to agree with you because when you compare the characters,
see, you're letting me take all the hits on these. And
I am 100%. You're the fall guy in this one, 100%. No, he's gone to the water bottle now. Look out! All right, so our semifinals. Holy moly, this is going to be an interesting debate. Han Solo versus Luke Skywalker. Not for the love of the princess, even though she's the sister of one of you. Versus,
you want to talk about a Fantastic Four
versus father and daughter, Darth Vader and Princess Leia. All right, which one of these do you want to adjudicate first, sir?
Let's get it out of the way. We've got Han and Luke. I've got Luke, mostly because as iconic as Han is, if you don't have Luke, you don't have a movie. Let alone movies. So it has to be Luke. I mean, it's a close run here though, because Han, talking again about this character arc and the way he changes. Luke goes to a similar character arc, and he really matures throughout the movies and becomes the Jedi that he becomes. So it's really kind of like that last bit of like, you need to have Luke in the movie.
Yeah.
Like you can't get around it.
Yeah.
So
he's the hero. He is the new hope. So I would have to agree. As much as I love the rogue character that Han Solo portrays, it is difficult for me to, precede him past Luke Skywalker with all that he means to that trilogy and what he becomes. And really, he is the core of the trilogy. He is the one the story is about. So yeah, I got to go with Luke on this one. What about for the father-daughter bracket? We got Darth Vader and Princess Leia, sir.
Bring your kid to work has a whole day has a whole new meaning in the Empire. Vader.
What?
It's got to be Vader, man.
What?
I mean, you tell me.
Oh,
whenever people talk about a bad guy, what is one of, if not the first reference points that come up? Darth Vader. That character is so iconic as a bad guy.
But what about Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia and being a strong female lead?
This is not a squash match. This was like eking it out. Like it comes down to that level because the character.
Like she kicked out at 2 3/4, and then Vader nailed the tombstone for the final win.
Yes, this was like a 3 tombstone sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and even then it was like Mankind in the Hell in a Cell where there's that little weak kick out afterwards. There's that
the leg.
Yeah.
I'm still here, but I'm not here.
Yep. I have to go with Vader. How about you? Obviously, you're going with Leia, right? After you just gave me that hard time.
No, I just want to give you a hard time.
So you're going to follow me on this one too.
I'm not following you. I agree. I agree with your reasoning. I think it is a difficult choice, but when you think about iconic and villain and hero, I'm sorry, Leia loses out in this one. The villain kind of weighs a little heavier, so I'm going to go with Vader on this one.
All right. So we have an identical finals.
Final. Yes. Father versus son.
You go first.
We could rule the galaxy as father and son. Gosh, this is tough. The iconic hero against the iconic villain, and how do you reason this one out? Oh, look at Uncle Todd sitting back, all smarmy, agent of chaos that he is. I know he's going to go with Vader, so okay, Dwayne, just bring it. Seeing these two face off, I have to go with the moral high ground. I have to go with the high ground.
Make him humble.
That's right, Sheiky. And I'm going to go Luke Skywalker on this one.
You are worse than Hulk
much
Hogan.
as I enjoy both of these characters, I, as a kid, was a huge fan of Luke Skywalker, and I loved his portrayal in the OG trilogy. I do not view Last Jedi as a betrayal of him in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I enjoyed, how they took his character in The Last Jedi. And so nonetheless, I'm going to go with Luke Skywalker as the winner of the OG prequel bracket.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And where are you going, sir?
Vader.
Of course, you.
Iconic. Again,
In the immortal words of Cody Rhodes, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Maybe I am a little bit.
I'm not surprised.
That's who I'm going with. So Vader comes out of Region 1 for me. Luke Skywalker out of Region 1 for you.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we've got 1 quarter of this bad boy done.
We do. And we did it in an hour and 30, which is kind of a miracle for us.
We're still not done. So let's try and kick this thing home. What have you got for And Another Thing this episode?
Wait, do we not have our intro music for And Another Thing still?
I don't have it loaded in here.
Oh my God.
Here, I'll give you, what do we got here?
Give me a little CM Punk.
Oh, in that case, I'm not.
No CM Punk? Pouring myself a little. Hold on. So my And Another Thing.
Yeah!
Thank you, Ellen.
I just want to leave this playing.
Sure. You know what I got to bring back is the People's Court music. That was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Slaps, as the kids say.
Oh, yeah. Jon Stewart returning to the Daily Show.
Yes.
I started watching it a couple weeks ago. Watched it last week. I'm going to watch it tonight after we're done recording. No, just wonderful to have him back in the anchor chair. He's hosting Monday nights only. But just
whoa. So who's hosting the rest of the week?
So they have like Jordan Klepper and some of the other folks who do like bits on the show are actually going to like rotate. They're going to rotate as weekly hosts. Apparently, is how they're doing it. So Jordan Klepper did week 1 when Stewart came back. There was a gal who did it for week 2. I don't know who's doing it for week 3, but they're rotating hosts basically for the Tuesday through Thursday shows. So I don't believe they do a live show on Friday. So
interesting.
Yes. But no, just wonderful to have him back. I was a huge fan of his back during his heyday in the Daily Show. Loved his perspective. Loved what he brought. Not to just one side of the equation, but both sides of the equation. I love his take on the absurdity of the system and shining a spotlight on that. And so it has been just a pleasure. And I mean, sometimes I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard because I love the comedy. I love what he brings to the table. It's very, different but yet at the same time, it makes sense, with just the absurdity of what he's talking about. And so I really appreciate him being back. And so not something that's a niche sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are aware that he's back and are watching the show, but this is a guilty pleasure of mine. And I'm a big fan of his overall. I think he's done a wonderful thing for, he was a huge proponent of, getting, the government getting benefits for like 9/11 responders. And he's just championed a lot of things that you would expect people in more serious roles in media to do. And here he is as this, comedy guy who's running like a fake news show. And yet I feel like he's had more of an impact on politics and on people than folks who are in those more serious positions. And so
I would agree.
So it's great to have him back. And I would highly recommend checking him out. Monday nights on Comedy Central, 10 o'clock Central Time.
Very nice, sir.
How about you, sir? What do you got?
This is just kind of stuck out to me. I'm going to recommend for those of you sticking with the Disney theme, if you're heading down to Disney World to, hand the mouse all of your money, as I did. I would recommend
Pay your pound of flesh.
Yeah, and then some.
And then some.
Stopping by the Nomad Lounge in Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's easy to kind of miss and pass by. It's a little place, kind of like a little cocktail joint with a like tapas style food. And especially the reason I would recommend this is folks might know or might not know I have celiac disease, which means don't worry, I everything is fine. That's where you can't have gluten, which sucks. However, it's of all the things you can have wrong with you, it's a pretty first world problem to have. It can get frustrating in terms of food and all that stuff, which is why, for me, going to Disney was kind of like all right, this is a good thing, because they, as an organization, they do very well in terms of, going gluten-free dining and things like that, and making things clear and doing their best to kind of fulfill that. This place is kind of special because it's, this kind of tapas, you would love it. It's bougie.
Thank you.
And very upscale cocktails and things like that.
As
but the
it should
food
be.
was really good, and a lot of it is gluten-free, and they don't really do anything in a fry-o-later that isn't gluten-free. So you can get a lot of stuff. Like, they do gluten-free churros. I have not, and they were freaking fantastic, dude. And just everything about it was fun. It's a little place that you could walk by very easily if you're not paying attention, because it's on the way into the Avatar Pandora section of Animal Kingdom. So you can stroll right by it if you're not paying attention. But if you're looking for, you're heading down that way, make a plan to stop there for a meal. It is very good.
Nice.
All right, folks. Well, that concludes Region 1 of our Star Wars character brackets. Thank you all for hanging
Todd's
around.
ready for bed.
I am.
I
am
bet you are.
sliding quickly. But thank you all for listening and for tuning in, watching. Thank you to all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation who have joined us here to read from the Holy Scriptures of Idiocy. If you'd like to join the Free Range Idiocy congregation, it's very easy to do. All you got to do is subscribe. You can find the audio version of our podcast at freerangeidiocy.com. You can subscribe right there through the podcast, through the Podbean app. If you say, you know what, I like to get my podcast elsewhere, go right ahead and search for us on the podcast purveyor of your choice. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Pandora. We are on, that's the streaming service, not the planet. We're also on Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on all of those places. So go ahead and search for us. You'll find us around there. We are also now fully on video. So if you want to actually watch the idiocy unfold and have it shoved into your eye holes via the interwebs. Oh my gosh. Playing with his little die-cast models again. Anyways, if you want to watch us be idiots, you can go to youtube.com/@freerangeidiocy and you'll find us there. All of our episodes are on there now. We are also on the social medias. You can find us at Facebook. We're on Instagram. As I just said, we are on YouTube as well. Mike, are you trying to make me freak out right now? I'm just seeing this out of the corner of my eye.
I'm not saying a word. I'm just, flying my models around. What's up with that?
I barely have enough coherence to finish this thing, and you're derailing me. Find us on the social medias. All of them are at Free Range Idiocy. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to give Tim the old business for making this life
giving
really
him the
difficult,
business,
you can send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com anytime at all, and he'll get back to you if he doesn't.
Thank you.
Whatever. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like we have a visitor.
There it is.
Our roving correspondent. Is it finally time for bed?
Is this the pilot who flew you to victory?
Yes, this is the pilot who almost got us killed on the Smugglers Run. Spoken like Han Solo. No light speed is not my fault.
A little snug.
Fair enough. I
That's
feel the
fair.
same way about driving.
That's fair.
All right, you going to bed? All right. See you in the morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kalen, stopping by here at the
Not just
finale of the
Kalen,
show.
Pilot Kalen. Come on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Put some respect on that name.
Anyways, now it's time for me
Gunner
to...
Uncle Todd.
I was all excited. I thought it was going to be like Batista.
Stay on target.
No, I've got a button.
Yeah, when my brother-in-law told me about that, I had this vision of him sitting in a seat and doing, like the episode 4 routine, and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, it's a button. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. I mean, Concessions must be made.
Anyways,
it's now time for me to turn the show over to the less idiotic of the two idiots who run this show, and the one without a head cold right now. And but not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. The first being, what is hip? The second being, the hell did we learn this week? And the third being, like, where's my NyQuil?
We have learned the following, my friend. Although you're gonna have to help me with the first one. What is the new term we're coining for your journeys across the Disney World park? Good Lord. What was it called? Hangling?
Hangling.
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 Hangling, ladies and gentlemen, is now in the lexicon. And neither Uncle Todd nor the missus are fans of it.
No, it's not fun.
It is not. We have also learned that Uncle Todd is a gunner on the Falcon. Not the most reliable individual. Just pressing a button. But his daughter flying, well, he'll wager on it.
Never tell
And speaking of wagers, we've also learned that Disney is only going to hand over a paltry $120 million to Mando and Grogu because,
paltry.
Hey, you know, they've shown they can do something with that, so let's just keep it to that. We've also learned that Pedro Pascal is our Fantastic Four savior, and will bring greatness and wonder to that franchise.
So just in case you were wondering, the movie Die Hard had a budget of $28 million.
Oh, hello.
Of course, that was 1988.
That puts things in perspective. What was the budget on that threesome movie you liked?
What?
The one from 1977 with Burt Reynolds in the football movie. Come on.
Oh, I have no idea. I thought you were talking about Wild Things.
No, I'm not talking about Wild Things. I'm talking about that movie you chose and then realized, oh, sweet Moses, this is what I didn't think it was about. Hello.
Winger football players and all kinds of weird crap.
Hey, all that matters is Carl Weathers was in it, and the movie was the better for it. So.
True. That is
true. We have also learned that the man they call Tim, he rides on the light side of the Force, but Uncle Todd rides the dark side. See from our bracket results, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader reign supreme. With all that being said, one more thing we've learned. Uncle Todd is a major fan of the tea with a little lemon, a little honey, a little bourbon, and loves to just pop those lozenges ad nauseum.
Lozenges.
Lozenges.
Not lozenges.
Lozenges. It drives them crazy, folks, and quite honestly, I love it. All that being said, we thank you again for the listenership. Be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed. Until next time. Goodbye.
That's right, I took the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
Or as Chewie would say.
That does sound like Cat made last night working at the furball.
What sound does Uncle Todd make in his rather sickly state?
Well, apparently, actually, it's probably also close to the snoring I was doing the other day.
Were you hitting Mach 5 on the decibel level there, or what?
My wife was telling me, she's like, the sounds that you were making. She says, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. And I'm like, and yet you didn't wake me up or anything.
So I'm not going to say which son because I don't want to embarrass anyone. But on one of our road trips recently, one of them was a rather loud snorer. And the other one, it was hysterical, said to my wife and I'm really concerned that someone's going to call the front desk and complain. None of us got a good night's sleep, but, there was some truth to what he was saying there. So,
yeah,
Oh my goodness. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Now get the hell out of here!